Okay. Then hello and welcome to a I was going to say Christmas special, but it seems like more Pilots edition, I suppose.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think so. I mean,
are
technically.
you still in the Cold War plane?
Is that a submarine?
No, I'm in space.
I was going to say it looks like a space station. Okay.
I'm
cool.
currently in space. I would say that we're all pilots of some form of another. I mean, I'm piloting the space station. Ian's fighting that nice spy plane, and you're piloting the sleigh?
I'm the German one, surely. Hang on. Which way do I need to go? There he is.
Oh, okay.
He coming.
So the one you can't see on the screen because you're obscuring the view.
I'm just massive.
That's you. Okay.
It's like a miniature plane.
Anyway, this is a Christmas edition, Christmas special of the Everybody Dies podcast, and we're doing things a bit differently. You can see us all for once. So that's something.
I just need to remember not to touch my nose.
Oh, okay.
To be fair, yeah.
It's an art I have perfected.
Don't do it!
No, Ian!
So good.
So, we're just going to basically just run through a few of our highlights of the year, although it's been a terrible year. So we haven't really played all that much. So it might be us rediscovering old games or maybe playing something new that everyone else has already played. We'll be going through that kind of stuff. We also want to give you guys a last-minute kind of shopping list, I suppose, just in case you're looking for any last-minute gifts, because hopefully we get this out before Christmas Eve. I'm pretty sure we will do. We also want to thank a few people at the end of the video as well for basically supporting us throughout the year. So without further ado, I am Steve, and I am joined by...
Cosmonaut Darrow.
Flight Lieutenant Ian. I didn't realise we were giving ourselves ranks.
Well, I didn't. It was only Daryl. Well, and you. In all fairness.
Well, you should be Santa Papa
Santa
Steve then, or
Santa
something.
Santa is a kind of pilot.
Yeah, he is, 100%.
Right.
Steve's gone, I'll be Santa. We've gone, he sort of flies something. We should be flying people too.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't got the white beard, though. I'm kind of half Santering it with the hat.
I mean, every Santa has to start somewhere. Just look at Tim Allen.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, he, shaved his beard off and it just grew back immediately. So I don't think I quite have
back
those
immediately. You don't know.
No, I do not trust in
Tim Allen.
My natural ability. I don't trust in Tim Allen. Exactly.
Nobody should.
Anyway, how about we talk about a few of our highlights from the year? There's been a few new games that we've kind of played between us over the course of the year. I'm trying to look at what we've all played together that got a release this year, and there really isn't much at all. There's definitely Ride the Rails and Mysterium Park that we all played, and I think both of those hit.
100%.
The only other game that I know all three of us played over the course of the year was Plunderbund, and we really didn't like that.
I don't remember it. Is that?
That's probably... That's the one we tried to play on Board Game Simulator, and it was incredibly slow. As in, we got to about 10 o'clock at night, having started at 8, and we'd only played through the first round.
I forgot
about
that.
And we were all kind of already at the point of, we really don't want to be playing this anymore. But, yeah.
I am going to be eating.
We're not here to talk about the back. That's fine, you go ahead.
Oh no, my Christmas pizza is flying. It thinks it's so big, it thinks it's background.
Oh, what's on your pizza, good sir? Christmas.
It's Christmas.
Lovely. Okay, so let's talk about what we've particularly enjoyed this year first. I mean, personally, I think my highlight was... it's going to be... I can narrow it down to probably 4 games that I've particularly enjoyed playing from this year, I think. One of them I feel like has to be automatically disqualified because it's just a re-release of an old game, which is Mysterium Park. I know you guys finally got to play Mysterium in some form.
Yeah,
How
so
did
for
you
us,
guys
it's
find
fresh,
it?
isn't it?
It
That's
is,
the
yeah.
thing for us. We've got nothing to compare it to, but I think we all, after the initial slander, I would say, from a certain source,
I will accept
we all realise
that
that it's quite a tough
I
job to
believe
be
the
the
game to be easier than it was and attributed the difficulty to our
Yeah,
stupidity. I was wrong to
but
do so.
It failed with everyone. Yeah.
it was
We were
so.
all made to
I
look
think,
like stupid ghosts, basically.
yeah. I mean, maybe when you become a ghost, half your brain disappears. I don't know, but it was. I really enjoyed the fact that you had to make these almost tedious links to things, and there's something fun about not being able to say a word whilst you watch the others go, well, there's grass in every single one of these, and it has to be grass because every single one's got grass. And you're like, no, I've just picked it because they've all got the sun in them or something. And you're like, they're going on the grass thing, and then someone goes, what if it's animals? And you're like, yes, yes, yes. No, it's got to be grass.
It's the
It has to be
bit when
grass. 100% it's
you
grass.
get it first time and you can see the ghost's eyes light up and you go, but they also have pens in. And then the ghost is like,
I swear,
Maybe
I know there was one part when we played it. There was a bit that I loved. I think it was when Ian had left the room to go to the toilet. I think, and in that time that he'd gone to the toilet whilst I was playing, whilst I was the ghost, the other said, "Oh, it actually looks like it could be a bit Japanesey or something like that because
yeah.
it's got kind of like the calligraphy on it, stuff like that." He came back into the room and they mentioned it. No, I don't think it's that. And I
That
was
was
kind of
me.
like. I was like going. Was that you that said no? I don't.
Yeah,
Think
I was like,
ah,
no.
okay.
I went. Oh, do you know what? Like what calligraphy? Got a kind of Asian Oriental theme to it, and then it was immediately, nah, it's music. It's got to be music.
And it was
like,
entirely what I was intending it to be.
Yeah, that was so funny.
But yeah, that was the moment that I remember from that. But that's part of the game. It's
Yeah,
just
that's
I
what made it
have
like.
regret about coming back from the toilet and scuppering all intelligent conversation. I should have just stayed there.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it was intelligent, but it was a definite different place. I think that's the main part about it. Is depending on who is the ghost, there can be some really, really outside the box kind of
I felt like when I was the
connection.
ghost, none of my cards were appropriate.
No, you get that. That's the part. And once you've burned through that, like you had like a kind of mulligan, didn't you,
Yeah.
where you could get rid of cards,
you
but only
had
like a couple of
2
times.
tickets, I think, or you had 2 or
Yeah.
3 tickets that you can discard and then completely redraw your hand.
And then
So-
that's where it gets so difficult because you know you're using one, and you get another set of bad apples, and you're like,
I think it's kind of like you, because the last round, the difference between Mysterium and Mysterium Park, like the big difference is that final thing is so much harder because in the original Mysterium, you've got multiple options on the table to be able to choose who the person is that you're trying to direct everyone else to. In this one, there is just one. So that means if you have no cards that matches to that one, you're basically screwed. So you kind of need those tickets going into the final round where you're actually trying to narrow it down to one culprit. You have to have those redraws ready because it is so much harder to be able to link it to one thing rather than having the flexibility to choose between a number of different culprits. So that's where original Mysterium is just a bit more forgiving, and I think it's why I still prefer the original Mysterium, but having it like condensed down into a small box that you can easily take anywhere is why it's still so high up on my list of games I would recommend that have been released this year, especially if you haven't got the original Mysterium. This one's absolutely great. Other games that we all played, in terms of other games that were released this year that I also want to recommend, Rallyman GT. I know, Ian, unfortunately you didn't get to play it with us, but it's a really neat kind of push your luck driving game. It's a lot different from the other driving games that we've played before. Man, I'm just trying to
like Initial D and
like Formula D and
Initial D.
I was thinking,
yeah,
it's Initial
and
D. I've not played. I've not had the privilege of Initial D.
So Initial D was a kind of Japanese racing film. Like I watched it ages ago. It was like sort of when Fast and Furious came out, and then that came out just after it. And
Like,
it's like
suspiciously
basically,
after it, or
yeah. Well, I think technically this existed beforehand, and then kind of got to the Western audiences afterwards. But it was one of those films where it was so good. It had I can't remember who it was, but it was this like drunk guy basically that used to be like a drift king. It was essentially Tokyo Drift, but before Tokyo Drift. So, but yeah, kind of worth a watch. It was quite an interesting film. But yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Sorry.
yeah. But back to the game, it was really interesting the way that you select a number of gear dice.
Yeah.
And you roll them, and basically you then kind of put them in order on the table of how you want to move across. So if you were in 5th gear, it means you get to roll 5 dice, which means you could possibly move forward 5 spaces, but you have to order them in such a way that you're only ever moving up and down 1 gear at a time. So you kind of have to work out how you're going to order them to get the maximum distance out of it and stuff. You also have the crash symbols on it as well, which can wipe you out as well. It made it a really nice change from the other games like Formula D, where you just roll for a number kind of thing and you move forward that number of spaces, or Flamme Rouge, where it's all a deck built game, again all very much around numbers and stuff like that. This time it's just about rolling as many dice as you can and hoping not to crash out kind of thing. I quite enjoyed that.
I enjoyed the like having. So we played with a couple of people, and one of the options you have is to change your tires.
Yes,
you can choose when to change your tires, and it can put you at a disadvantage because depending on whether it's wet weather or dry weather or whatever, it allows you to have bonuses. And Phil was playing it and changed to wet tires quite early on, which gave him quite a boost when it started raining. And then we all had to kind of play catch up and go into a pit stop, because when you go into a pit stop, it kind of costs you a bit of time, which it did with him initially, but because he had then sort of preempted the rain, if you will, before everyone else, he then could quite quickly. Whereas we were sort of like, and then it was a lot more effort because you could spin out, couldn't you, quite a bit if you had the wrong tires. So it was a case of kind of like knowing when we were going to spin out and chancing it even more. And because we didn't have the right tires, it made it harder for us. And then he was just like, ha 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 ha. You're like, oh, I wish I'd kind of done the same thing now. We laughed at him because we're like, why are you putting on wet tires? And then
that is a vintage
sure
film move.
I think
it's quite funny.
Was it Andy that tried to power through the wet weather?
And that is a vintage Andy move.
Yeah. And I think he just
both of those things exactly identify both of those people. Phil will put on wet tyres even though he doesn't need them, and Andy will ignore all safety restrictions and just bomb on without any sort of thought.
Brilliant.
So good.
Okay, what else have we got from this year that's been particularly enjoyable? Cosmic Encounter Duel, I want to bring up as well. Again, I love Cosmic Encounter anyway, and I don't want to go into it too much, just because it is essentially it's Cosmic Encounter just boiled down into a way that only 2 players can play, which you weren't able to do with the original Cosmic Encounter. It's still filled with all the wackiness of original Cosmic. There's stupid things that come up. Like when me and Daryl played it, there genuinely was a moment where a card was drawn just as Daryl was about to win that said, if someone would win on this round, they automatically lose. Yeah. So all of a sudden we were both desperately trying to lose the round. So that was classic Cosmic.
That was so good fun, because like for the once I was sort of like, oh my god, I've got the upper hand here. This is weird. It's unusual for me to play a game and initially kind of have quite a good hand. And I was like, okay, I think I could actually win this. that card came out, and I looked at it, and you and me were just laughing, like, so I'm going to automatically lose if I win? And it was like, yeah. Right, okay. So even when I've got the good hand, I still get it taken from me. Very funny.
Yeah.
Very good.
Then the last game that I particularly wanted to mention that was released this year was Fort, because we did play that as well. From the same makers as Root. It was just generally a real good fun game to play. Again, I don't want to go into this one too much, only because we are reviewing it at some point. That will be coming at some point in the new year, but I don't want to give away too much on that one yet. But all you need to know is that I've really enjoyed playing that one. How about
definitely
you guys? Were there any games in particular that were released this year? Oh, I forgot about Ride the Rails as well.
I was
actually,
about to say Ride the Rails.
Man, I really enjoyed
we all
that.
played that.
Yeah, I mean, it's got.
It's
like I mentioned,
Capitalist Overlord Simulator 2020.
Yeah. So I mean, I feel like in the
good.
review, I think I put it best where I said it is the meanest game that was released this year, and you probably wouldn't think it. It has so many opportunities for people to just be.
I still can't believe I mansplained Helen into thinking you guys were mansplaining to her. It still blows my mind.
I know.
Honestly, the fact that we were all looking at her like, do not listen to this. This is utter silver-tongued bullshit. And he's just like, yeah, but I'm just saying, if you went through blue, although it would benefit me a little bit, you would also stand to gain. And you're like, how is he doing this?
Wasn't
How
wrong,
does he not realise that if she goes through?
I managed to
you
convince her it
wrong,
was in
but you
her
were also
interest. When it was just, it was like 3% in her interest and 97% in my interest.
I know. And it was like,
But that's the
like,
game.
yeah, that's right.
That's the thing.
But I think the thing that cinched the deal, or the fact that you were like, your dick over Daryl, and she was like, "Oh yeah."
I was like, "Oh yeah, Daryl won't make
like,
any
no,
profit
no.
if you profit me. You know that, don't you?" And she looks at you like,
yes.
So that was like the way I would put that is that really felt like the ultimate Eric Cartman move. I would say, convincing
Pretty
other
much.
people that they've got a lot to gain when it's fact you that's going to be gaining
Still
more out of it. Yeah.
I'd like to say I'm not proud of it, but it was the.
You're proud of it.
I couldn't. There was just a point where I think I
funny. It's
vocalized.
so
I was like,
funny.
I can't believe I got away with that. And I said that to her, and she still went with it.
Because she
But
was
still
she
kept
was
going
so
with it for the rest of the game as well.
she was so involved in the fact that I would.
That was
I
the
would
selling
come in
factor. There was a
fourth
point
or
where
third.
she realised that doing this would hand me the game, and then there was like you could see in her eyes there was a slight and ah where she's like, "Should I stop?" And I looked at her and I went, "I will make you come second." And she was like, "Okay, cool, we're in."
So, I mean, just to explain a little bit more about Ride the Rails, it is a game where you're building railways across America and you're buying shares in the company. So just because you're building this railway doesn't mean you're the only person building this railway. Other people are contributing to it as well. Other people may have more shares in the railway you're building, and the more customers you've got moving across your railways, the more money people are making. So it's very much like a wheeling and dealing kind of a game, and making deals with other players and talking other players into doing the things you want them to do. So really, all you were doing was playing a big part of the game, I suppose.
We don't do very often in board games, which I think you always you say this quite a lot, where a lot of other board game groups do this, but we don't, which is negotiate with other players.
Yeah, definitely. And this one just you can't play that game without doing a little bit of negotiation and stuff. Mind you, have either of you guys ever been round when we've played Millions of Dollars before?
No.
The game where it's got like paper money in it and stuff like that, and the idea is that you're committing a bank robbery, and everyone takes a role, and you can lie about what role you've got. So there's like a driver, a mastermind, a brute, and they all interact with one another in different ways. As in, some roles may knock out another role. Some roles maybe they take $1 off of everyone else's gain in the take at the end of it. So the idea is that you have to try and make deals with everyone else around the table to say, although everyone will say, okay, I'm the driver, or something like that. And then someone else around the table might go, yeah, but I'm the driver. At which point they may be lying, because there can't be two drivers on the table, because one of the catches in the game is that if there's multiples of a role on the table, then those two players get knocked out and they can't take place on the heist, basically. So you can start bargaining with one another as, okay, if you're a driver as well, how about I give you this much money to drop out, keeping in mind how much money you take from the eventual bank robbery at the end of it. So what you end up with typically in my game group is, I'm the driver. Oh, but I'm the driver. Are you going to offer me any money? No, I'm not going to offer you any money. All right. and you just both go into the take at the end. You both get revealed as drivers and you both just drop out. It's not the greatest way to play it, basically. But we do have moments every so often where someone does actually get smart about bargaining with other people and can actually talk other people into it. But it's rare with the gaming group I play with, I think. I think we're all very wary of one another, and I don't think that really helps too well. Yeah. But yeah. What about anything else you guys have played this year?
Me and you played Fox and the Forest Duet.
Oh yeah, that was really cool. Really enjoyed that one.
Nice little sort of 2-player game. I think you probably explained it a bit better than me, but it was an odd concept. You were kind of two foxes trying to collect gems in the forest, and you sort of used cards, didn't you? Try and like play different values and stuff. It was quite a neat little way of doing it. But we nearly, did we win or did we lose? I can't remember if we were getting close.
We lost, but we got close on our first attempt at it, to be fair. But the idea is it's a trick-taking game. So in other words, one player leads the suit, plays a card. The other player has to try to play another card of the same suit, although there's other actions you can take. And the idea is whoever wins the suit pulls the fox towards them. And it goes a number of spaces equal to the numbers of paw prints that are printed between the two cards. But what's difficult about it is there are boundaries on either side of the card. And if the fox would go off of that boundary, you lose a life, basically. So you have to try and, between the two of you, really control. Like it's very much about knowing when you have to try and win the suit and when you have to try and deliberately lose the suit.
I will adjust you. No, you've got.
Oh my god!
Size, Daryl. Don't know what.
Okay. So I think what happens is when something covers the screen, it brings up a little pop-up window of you two, and then for some reason it must adjust it, because I think that's what it did earlier when you were like, "Oh, well, you've changed."
And I was like, just gone tiny and then massive again.
Weird. Lovely stuff.
Very weird.
Oh god!
A very professional podcast.
Yeah. Obviously, naturally. Why would it not be?
Okay. Were there any other games we wanted to talk about releases from this year? Oh,
I feel like there definitely was something, and I can't remember what it was.
Sumo Gnomes.
Sumo Gnomes was released this year. Yeah.
Technically, Dwarven Beer Fest.
Yeah. That got released on Kickstarter.
But obviously, I got my copy of that. I've played that a couple of times.
Yeah. Perhaps we'll move on to then just games in general that we've enjoyed, that we've played this year. And 100%, I know the first one I'm getting to mind is The Crew. I feel like The Crew has almost been our game of the year, almost, in terms of if you're going to talk about the game that we have played the most when we've gotten together, I feel like The Crew is the one.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah, to be fair, I thought it was quite a good game. I think because me and Stephen were playing Cosmic Encounter Duels, and then I think Ian, you joined us a little bit later, and we played The Crew completely, didn't we? And it was just fun trying to kind of get the right set of numbers, very similar to The Mind.
Infuriating, but brilliant. There's points when you're playing it, and it's like two people around the table know exactly what's happening, and the other person has just joined from somewhere completely different, almost. And you're like, yeah.
Come on.
You know what to play, and that person doesn't.
Yeah.
Do I?
But I mean, we've
played
played
it
it
with Leon
with
as well,
a couple
didn't
of
we?
different separate groups. Exactly. We played it with Leon as well. And if I remember that day, it was one of the days when we were desperately trying to play some of our games from. We were trying to play some of our games that we had to review and stuff. And the Crew, again, was the game that at some point in the afternoon, we just said, yeah, should we just play the Crew again? And just played that more. It's one of those games that kind of it keeps wanting you to go back. So when we do a section later on in this podcast where we talk about our last minute buyer's guide, I imagine the Crew will probably be coming up in that list. I know it probably will be from my end, to be honest.
The Crew has been excellent.
Mm.
Like that. We also played Tournament of Avalon, didn't we, around the same time?
Yeah, we did. That was really good as well.
I hated that for the first 10 minutes and then loved it. When I understood how much longer it goes on for, and that you don't just, when you lose the first round, you're not just out. It it completely balances.
When you start losing, you suddenly get a load of stuff that makes you so much freaking cooler, kind of thing. Like you get these really neat abilities that no one else can use around the table. That in some cases can turn the game on its head. It's amazing.
I mean, we did an entire round where arrows couldn't do any damage to anyone. It's really odd.
I think the only person that could hurt was only if he got them in a certain way. I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Could you give me a brief rundown of the game? Because I have not played it. So
it's another trick-taking game similar to the Crew. However, the difference here is it's a competitive game, and the idea is you don't want to be the one to take cards, because if you take cards, that goes into a hit pile, and you've got something ridiculous like 400 health or something like that, and it chips away at your health. But every character also has special abilities that they start off with one special ability that's always active, and then when you hit a certain health threshold, you unlock a second ability. But on top of that, after every round of combat, whoever's currently the most injured gets to draw a number of these benefit cards that can basically break the rules in their favor, basically. And the further behind they are, the more of these cards they get to draw. So they become increasingly more powerful as they get more and more injured. And basically the game ends when someone is out of health, and then whoever has the most health at the end of it actually wins. It's another game that is full of complete and utter chaos.
I like that. That sounds good.
There are some cards that are just like, this round is going to suck for that person.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. I'm pretty sure, was it Leon that had a card that was just like, you get to choose where all the damage goes. Well done. You get to choose who wins this game.
No, I got that. I got that towards the end of the game because I remember it was between you and Leon, and I decided Leon was going to win.
I got one that like I could use like other types of cards as whatever card I wanted, and so I was just playing whatever I wanted all the time. Crazy.
Yeah,
it was cool.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
What else was there that we played this year?
Been playing Legion.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't played Legion. I started playing smaller games, I think. Quite smaller games. I know me and Andy started playing quite a long game, and it did take an absolute age to finally play it. I think it optimally probably 500 points ish. Anything up to about 1,000 is pretty much like a normal Warhammer game where it's quite a few hours of time. One thing I learned, which was man. So we never really finished this game technically.
This is the punching the tank game.
Yep. So basically, it turns out one stormtrooper can punch a tank, just on and off as long as it wants and not get hit. Because stormtroopers have quite a good defense roll, and the tank just couldn't do anything because it was pinned in. So I had to keep retreating, and I just walked up, smacked it again, and it was like significantly just taking like only like one hit off every time.
His fists, did you? You punched a droidica.
I did, but only on its shields. Only on its shields. I was taking off its shields, but then it kept redoing its shields every time. I punched droidica. It turns out that Iden Versio is just a complete handheld badass. She got swamped and no one could touch her. She just stayed there, hitting off droids, killing them with one hit, and you're like, this is incredible.
Versio to do that.
So, yeah, but I didn't think to the point where he surrounded me.
I think what you're trying to say, Daryl, is that you weren't
I thought I
expecting
would
special
die.
forces.
I wasn't expecting forces, but no one ever does. So this was the thing. Yeah, Dooku died, which was incredible.
Did
Managed
Vader
to kill out
get killed by a
Dooku.
tank?
Vader got killed pretty much second round in because I was running him as the operative, so he has less health, and the tank just took two massive shots at him and went, "You're out." I was like, cool.
I am.
So Vader.
I'm very ready for us to play again when lockdown's lift. We've got.
Oh, 100%. I would say if you don't have, oh boy, if you don't have some sort of mechanized
I've
unit.
got two of those.
Yeah, I would say you definitely need something that's vehicle-wise, because they do have.
So.
It doesn't. It's a weird one. The rocket launchers do work, but the tank does so much damage to humans that you just don't really stand a chance. So you do need mech on mech or like tank on tank or whatever. So at some point, I'll obviously play it. But it was a good game. Like we both agreed it was fun. There was some. Again, this is the thing. It wasn't so much about who won or lost. It was more the interesting moments of like Bosk just forever regenerating, constantly. The stormtrooper that wouldn't stop punching the tank. Like, it's just things like that. You're like, there's no way this would happen. But then in a way, in some series, you see stuff like that. You see like one hero being that hero, and you're like, oh, that's quite cool. But yeah, that was good fun. Played that quite a bit this year, actually.
So I think the one thing I have to take into consideration as well, in terms of what I think was the star of Isolation, was Arkham Horror is the other thing. Yes. I don't want to talk about it too much, but I know that obviously both me and Daryl got into that in terms of solo gaming. I think we've talked enough about it on the other podcasts, but 100% Arkham Horror has been... I might even say that it's possibly been my game of the year this year. Just simply because of the amount that I've played. I think I've played it more than any other game this year, I think.
Yeah. I would definitely say, I've literally played the first two missions of the campaign, but I did intend to buy some more into it because I do want to actually complete the stories, because they are, I'll go back to it and I won't do, what we like 40 minutes of it last time, I think you counted I did, of Marvel Champions, same kind of concept, got me through, but story-wise is more for Arkham Horror. Like, you're actually doing a narrative, and I really like the fact that narrative then gives you stuff as well. So, like, obviously, I think you had a different experience in the first couple of missions than I did, and I think that's really cool. The fact that I didn't die, I didn't kill the big bad, the house didn't get burnt down, but then because of that, I gained stuff, and then other things went into the enemy deck. So I like the fact this is kind of continuation to. Or succeed, it does affect the story in somewhat, which I think is quite nice.
There's almost a choose your own adventure element to it, as well as it being a card game at the same time. That's kind of cool.
I think
it's reminded me just how many RPGs I've played this year. I know Daryl's been in a couple of them as well. Did you play the Mexican RPG? Yeah, we
did. Yeah, it was the one where we both kind of liked it, but not enough to continue it.
We played like a practice game of it, and like It was interesting, but it was different, and I don't think any of us could get into it.
No, so I think one of the things we really liked was everything was done on the pilot console. So it had this like kind of virtual pilot console which did everything for you, which was really nice. Which you could kind of access and update and change, and it gave you all your information. So visually, it was very impressive. It's got into details, did we? Because we made up these stories, we made up these mechs, and then we didn't really. I don't think we really got
I
into
think
it
there's
too
two
much.
parts of the game. There's you outside of the mech doing roleplay stuff, and then the combat is done in the mech. But the mech combat feels. Well, I think all we did was mech combat.
Yeah, we did the first bit in the bar when we didn't really no one want to talk to each other.
Yeah.
And then it was like, well, how do you know each other? And then it was, a bit awkward.
So this is kind of interesting because we played the wrestling RPG as well.
Yes.
This year, and one of the things about that is we didn't play the whole thing because a lot of it also is you're meant to also role play the backstage element of it, like politicking backstage and stuff as well. But I just cut that out because it's not a fun part of the game. Really, it's kind of just people talking in the back kind of thing. The cutting promos and the actual wrestling matches themselves are great, but it sounds like you could quite easily adapt this mech RPG in such a way that
it's just mech combat.
Yeah, you're just focusing on the stuff that everyone wants to do, and perhaps it would be better if the adventure was made by cutting out the bits that everyone else just really wasn't fussed about. And I imagine it probably would have been a better game.
I don't know if it was that we weren't fussed about the story. It's just I think we only got a chance to experience the combat, and that wasn't fulfilling.
The thing that was kind of upsetting in a way, we got to a second pilot level, I think it was, at the end of that mission we did, and then because of that, I went through and started going through the unlocks and what you could unlock. And to be honest with you, the stuff you get in the second tier was incredible.
Yeah.
The amount of stuff you could, and there is like this absolute. I was very much drawn to the level of customization to this character and this mech suit that you could do, and the weapons, and depending on what weapons you had, depending on what skills you had. I liked that, but I think we then I think we'll go into this one, is where we all kind of hit the Cthulhu stuff quite hard.
Yeah.
After that, and sort of stayed with that quite a bit.
Like a practice campaign of that, didn't we?
The one-off, didn't we?
Where I got a bit too invested.
You got like.
I got super invested in my character and his wife and what happened to her.
So, the award of the year for for RPing a I don't know, like an estranged husband goes to you 100%, because he needed to find.
I don't remember his name. I don't remember her name. Needed to find I was him for that day, and he'd lost his wife.
Oh, it was so annoying, because we were just like, look, there's no way she is, and it was just like, oh my god. And then eventually it was like, when you found out what happened to her, it was so much harder, because you were just like, oh god. But that was the too late one, wasn't it, with Sean?
Oh, yeah.
Too late.
Sean was like, I will stab this woman in the foot, and we were all like, don't do that. And Phil was like, the rest of the group don't want you to do that. He was like, too late. And then Phil killed him. It was great.
So that was a really good one, to be fair. It was not too long. It was done and dusted, so none of the characters kind of carried on because it was the end of the thing. But then the next one was very much like a similar. We worked for the same company, sort of thing, and we were doing much of a long tier thing. But you joined us for a bit of that, didn't you, Stephen? You were definitely on the first couple.
In the original first one, I think, yeah.
Yeah, I remember you were like this kind of
surly photographer.
That was the one.
It's probably the way I would put it.
There was some really cool scenarios with that. That had a really interesting couple of missions where we really got tested quite hard, especially the church one, because we didn't know really excellent, but then we weren't 100% sure if they were actually trying to be, like, say, sacrificing someone, or if it was just us going that route. It got really weird, and then it was the angel, wasn't it? We saw some people saw the angel on the video, other people didn't, and because of that, it affected them. You got your police status revoked, which then made your character quite difficult to do stuff.
Role as a police officer to get more information, and I got caught.
Yeah, and then it made your character kind of go on a sort of very depressing,
weird spiral.
I don't know what I'm going to do with my.
Basically, the only thing he does.
Yeah.
I found that character super difficult to play because he's very serious. I have a job to do. Let's rescue these people. I am a police officer, and I'm very. Let's throw pie at things and mess around and a pigeon. Like, I get distracted easily and just do my own thing. And this character is very. I'm on the task and I will complete this task. And I had agreed with Phil that at the end of the last session that when Eddie died, I had a new character who was like a pickpocket. Bit more chaotic and bit more.
That's the thing.
Me to play.
Yeah.
I think he had a really weird name as well.
I think this was the issue.
I think his name was Kipper Curtis, and he was a Cockney. I was looking forward to playing him. I think the campaign ended when they nuked Reading.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, we tried to. We called an electrician out to try and repair what could only be described as like a weird device, a bit like the Time Machine from the film The Time Machine, where it's just connected to crystals and like goo, and it's connected to a 5G mast. It was really insane. Long story short, apparently we could have jumped in to help, but because we dicked around too much, fighting something as well, quite a lot of us died, and pretty much most, if not all, of Reading exploded, including Eddie, which was Ian's character, who was sat at the motel moping. Although you weren't actually there in real life, you were supposedly in the motel, just like crying and watching TV. So you just look out the window, and it just explosion.
The only character who survived was Derry's character, who was the ex-wrestler. Who was he was out of town buying vampire hunting equipment because he was convinced it was vampires. He somehow survived.
He met a crazy. Oh my god! He met a crazy dude that clearly had a bunker. Is hence why he survived. And he was convinced it was vampires, so he was getting his gun blessed. He was getting stakes. So he had an old, like, what was it? It was like an.
He had a Vickers, didn't he?
Gee.
Was it a Vickers or Bren gun?
I can't. It was a big carry. Some sort of machine.
He had like a World War II or World War One.
I think so. And he
light machine or like heavy, like a big gun. And he was like bang, 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 bang.
And he was the only person that could hold it because he was so beefy. And he just basically he punched something once. And from that point on, it stuck that he was using the hand of God. So then he was trying to make the gun into the gun of God. And Brian is the hand of God. And you were just like, oh my god, this heavy Yorkshireman who convinced another dude who was also some sort of doomsday prepper to, like, I can holy baptize this and make a stake that can stick on it like a bayonet so he could stab people and shoot them at the same time.
I want to be able to kill vampires with the stick on the end of gun.
Yeah.
And it's just like, why? It's like, vampires are definitely behind this. Lots of vampires are in village.
Oh god. It was so good. Like, obviously, we all made other characters, but we never really went on with it. And then we went into briefly. We did a was it 1930s one or 1940s one on the Orient Express. Same sort of thing, but older time.
Shall we just briefly go over this?
Very relevant. I was the
yeah.
I was going to say, because we've talked about this extensively on the podcast before.
Yeah. It was just good. It was
Can you remember my name?
It was different to have a.
Is it Heinrich von?
Oh,
Uberwurst. Heinrich von Uberwurst.
Uberwurst. Yes. And I was Lord Byron Harrington West, but then it turns out I actually was a counterfeiter So the best part was they were all like, and I had to keep putting on this posh voice, and then we're in France, and it's only me and Louis, which was Andy's character, who was like this angry Frenchman, which worked really well.
Andy is the best Frenchman
And
I've ever met.
basically, it was so funny. And then, long story short, this guy wasn't giving us any information, and we couldn't roll persuade. So I went and used I have a special I had a special ability which was counterfeiting, which then was something else, so I could lie. Anyway, I basically just changed into like this Cockney accent, and everyone that was listening, who they're not there in real life in the game, but they are listening in real life, and they're like, why has he gone all Cockney? And I'm like, listening, you piece of crap. And I'm just like, And then the only person that technically knows was Andy. That I'm like, yeah, don't tell anyone, old chap, or whatever. He was just like, what the hell?
Don't bother me,
So yeah, I
don't care.
I do not care. Yeah, it was so good. I had so many dreams for that character, and like you did with your one. There was I'd love to have finished that one. Well, not finish it, but carry it on some point. Anyway,
Okay. Anything else from this year at all?
I played
that we can
D&D
think
a lot,
of?
and Star Wars RPG started last week. That's been fun.
It's been like a year for like RPGs and stuff like that, and these solo-based games.
I would normally be free, so it's been a good opportunity to play stuff online on Skype. Other network.
And hey,
video
could be again
call
at the beginning of next year.
hey.
Okay. Ian, do you want to hit us with a little trivia, or are we skipping that?
Do we have time?
We'll do a couple of them. Throw a couple of questions our way.
Sure. I am just finding the tab that I had.
When you say Christmas trivia, do you mean as in these are Christmas-related
stuff,
questions? Yeah. Okay.
I'm struggling to find the actual.
And then we'll move into what we think. Then after Ian's asked us a couple of questions, we'll get into
25.
what we think you should be buying as a last-minute thing.
5.
Give us 5, perhaps. Yeah, 5.
Astronauts broadcast which Christmas song from space in 1965?
Oh, wow.
Is it? Oh, is it that one that's not really a Christmas song, but it is a Christmas song? The one about like the spaceman came traveling.
Song. It's my favorite Christmas song, and it's not that.
It is because it would so be thematic as well.
I bet it would be something like White Christmas or something like
Is that your answer? It was Jingle Bells.
Yeah, why not? It was going to be something like quite generic.
They should have gone with the other
Mistletoe
one.
literally translates from Anglo-Saxon as "what on a stick."
I want to say it's a human toe on a stick.
Okay.
I want to say it is like I reckon they used it as like a thing. They put someone's toe on a stick and went like, look at that.
Eyeballs.
That's my eyeballs.
Eyeballs on a
What's wrong with you
stick.
two? It's dung. Dung.
Dung. Lovely. Christmas time. Mistletoe and wine.
Austria, what horned figure punishes naughty children at Christmas time?
Krampus.
Yeah, Krampus.
Throw in a couple of nice easy ones.
Well, hey, we got one.
Which Christmas beverage is also known as milk punch? Yeah.
Eggnog.
Yeah, eggnog.
And no,
Never
it's
had
got egg. I can't eat.
No, yeah, I think I did. I did, and I didn't like it, if I remember right.
I just don't imagine it being nice.
You can like buy it in cartons, can't you?
Yeah, I think that's how it comes. I just can't. I know Ian can't eat it, but I drink it. I just don't imagine it being nice.
I've got 2 more.
Sure.
The German Nazi regime replaced Santa Claus with which figure?
Oh God, of course. We should have seen this coming.
They replaced Santa Claus with which figure?
Santa Claus with...
Is it Hitler?
No, it's not Hitler.
I don't think it would be
But
Hitler.
it's a fair guess.
No. Okay.
I
just feel like they might have used him as like a propaganda piece. So sorry, who did they replace?
Hellboy.
Hellboy.
Daryl, what was your answer? Okay.
I'm going with Hitler still.
Imagine him just like climbing down your tree. Ho ho ho! Throwing presents.
I think it's more the case of no, Daryl, it's not Hitler. Yes, it was. That's my answer. Hitler.
It's Odin.
Okay.
Weird, right?
Oh, but
As in,
yeah.
add to Odin.
Yeah, as in Norse god Odin.
Wow.
I mean, that's
So
interesting.
weird. That's so
Which
weird.
country has donated a Christmas tree to the people of Scotland every year since 1949?
Oh God, I think I heard this somewhere. I think it's
Quite
a
common
really
question.
there's quite a small country. I think it's something like. Oh God,
Daryl, what are you doing? You've gone really
I have
small.
no idea. I can't remember.
I've just sat here in complete silence thinking between Canada or Finland.
I don't think.
Go
Go for Finland.
Yeah.
I've got a feeling. I don't know why it's in my head, but something like Cyprus or something
can
like
I
that.
just
Oh,
quickly,
God.
you know where Cyprus is, right?
Yeah,
What do you think their Christmas tree growing potential is on that Mediterranean island?
places can still get
Are you
Christmas trees.
suggesting they
24,
import a
aren't
Christmas
they?
tree from another country and then shift it off to Scotland?
Pretty much, yes.
Okay, they don't. It's
Okay, that's fair enough.
it's Norway.
Greenland.
Oh wow. Okay.
Oh, that seems like a really simple answer as well.
Well,
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right. It was.
yeah, fair enough. Oh.
Okay.
Do you want me to finish? Do you want me to stop?
Give us one
One
more.
more.
Okay.
One more.
One more for the road.
A Roman holiday held between December 17th and the 23rd had an influence on how Christmas was celebrated. Which god did it celebrate?
Hmm. No, I don't know.
I want to go with. I can't remember the name of his. It's the one that's like wine and parties, but I can't think of his name.
Man, I wish I was the god of wine and parties.
It's like the god of. It's like it's not
I'll
like
just throw
Diana,
one out
but it's
there, I
like something
suppose.
like
I'm just going to throw Jupiter out there.
that. I don't know his name, but the one of God, and he's the god of like
Name a
parties
planet.
and wine and stuff.
It said
Is it
not
after a
Earth.
planet? All right, Mars.
It kind of ties in with Hitler for the last one, doesn't it?
It's Saturn.
Yeah, Mars. Let's go Mars. What is the one of God of? Let's see what the one of
God.
parties is.
I mean, if that is Saturn, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
No, I'm thinking of.
I mean,
Greek
they're the
now.
same. They just renamed them all. They're literally the same
Yeah.
gods.
Yeah,
They
but
went
it'd be a different name.
change. They stole them.
Oh, it's Diana. I can't say the word. Dionysus.
Okay.
The Greek god was the son and Zeus of the
Okay,
god of
but-
wine.
What did they translate it to? What did the Romans call him?
I don't know if they did.
Actually,
I don't know
there's
if they
nothing
did.
around
It doesn't say. I'm looking.
Anyway, whilst Daryl's doing that,
Oh, Liber. So I guess.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Bacchus or
Bacchus
like
or
Liber.
Libra.
Yeah.
Yeah, no idea. Okay,
yep, let's move on. We are going to now recommend some games we think you should probably buy if you're looking for a last-minute gift to buy someone before Christmas. What do you guys think about this? Like,
It depends, doesn't it? Because
Have
if
you got
you're giving it
anything-
to someone who like lives by himself and they want a game to play by themselves, I would say something like What's the one with the pen and the train? Just gonna.
Railroad Ink.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah, that's a good
And if
answer
it's
for that.
multiple people, Beer Fest. Because apparently I'm sponsored by them.
It's gonna pop up a big banner and be like,
I wish I'd prepared that. I could have just
say
brought it up on OBS.
that would be really, really smooth as well. I want to say, for me personally, given how much we're seemingly enjoying their selection, I would say things from Ravensburger you can't seem to go wrong, like licensed games at the moment.
Right.
Yeah, they seem to be doing so, like Disney Villainous and the Marvel version. They seem to be getting good reviews. Where they're simpler games as well, it might be more to entice people into a slightly more complex rules, I guess. So a good gateway in a way. So I would say anything from them, from their current catalogue. So like we played Horrified, was it?
Yeah, Horrified was really
Horrified. So stuff like that. They're
El Dorado.
Yeah, they're simple enough, but they have a layer to them that you can kind of adapt into newer stuff. So I would say anything from them pretty much at the moment.
I mean, I can probably say there are 3 companies out there, especially if you're looking for like a stocking filler or something like that. Probably 2 companies that would fit that role. One would be Oink Games that do these tiny, tiny games. If I was to get a normal sized game here and hold this one up against there, you get some idea of just how tiny they are. They generally are for more players. They tend to be more party-ish type games. Another one that makes a good stocking filler is any of the Ugly Bug series of games.
Yeah.
Like the small little games like Cockroach Poker. They do several other different ones. On a similar note to Ravensburger, I would say Big Potato Games.
Yes.
Pretty much crowd pleased for everyone. Like we played Mr. Lister's Quiz Shootout. I would say that's probably a game for Christmas, to be honest, with like the parents around and things like that. I think it's a really good alternative to like the various trivia based games that you usually get over Christmas that everyone sits down to play. But in terms of bigger games, I mean, we've already recommended a whole load of podcasts that I would say any of them are worth getting, especially The Crew, I would say, is it's not difficult. It's real simple. You can play it in relatively small groups. Like if you've got 4 people, you can play The Crew. It's going to last you a little while because it's almost like a campaign that you play through as well, which is really cool. Yeah, I think that's what I'd be probably recommending in terms of like a stocking filler or something like that. If you're looking for a bigger game, I mean, I'm going to recommend Mysterium Forever pretty much to anyone. If you can pick up a copy of that, I would say so. Anything else you guys would particularly recommend?
Fort was pretty good, I would say. It wasn't too hard to kind of grasp. And Root as well. I mean, that's always not... Fort's quite a nice small box as well, so it's only like, say, kind of bigger than a sort of VHS case. Wow, that's showing age. A VHS case. Yeah, I would say that would be my sort of choice because it was nice and easy to pick up and play, and it's quite simple.
I'd also say Quacks.
Yeah,
I had success introducing that to less initiated players, so I now have to play it all the time, so it's lost.
Have you bought the expansion
I intended to, and then lockdown hit, and I haven't had a chance.
Yeah.
I intend to pick it up from Entoyment when I pick up Anakin Skywalker for Legion. When that comes out.
I'm trying to think what I would probably recommend for perhaps the more hardcore board gamer or something like that.
The way you rotated in your chair and looked upwards worryingly, I thought like maybe an owl or a pigeon had come into the room, and you were like...
I mean, in terms of stuff that was released this year, I would say if you're after a heavier experience for someone, considering its cut price and stuff like that, Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion would probably be a good shout for someone this year. I would probably say.
What is that in terms of content against standard Gloomhaven? Because I know we talked about it before, but I can't remember.
It's not got anywhere near the same amount of content as the original Gloomhaven, but you have enough there to be able to have a substantial adventure. Like, you've got about 20 different scenarios to play through. So, that's still quite hefty. And for what you can pick it up for like 40 quid or something like that, it's, when you're comparing it to the £120 that you'd pay for the big box of Gloomhaven, I mean, by all means, if you're looking to really spoil someone, then if you can get a hold of a copy of Gloomhaven, then by all means, that's a very substantial gift for someone, Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a high fantasy kind of game. Do you know what? Out of games this year that I haven't been able to play, but I've kind of played through and stuff like that, Alibari really impressed me earlier in the year. A game about the tea industry in India, and it was really good. I really enjoyed playing the solo version of it. That was very cool. Another game that I really want to play sometime. I probably would recommend that one for perhaps a more hardcore gamer, I think, probably as well. Okay, so with that, really what we want to do to finish this out is just say a bit of a thank you to a few people that have helped us out this year. Let's start off by saying thank you to Danielle, who actually has done a hell of a lot for us in terms of our social media presence and stuff like that. She's kind of been our unofficial social media person on like Facebook. So thank you very much, Danielle, for everything you've done.
It's so weird looking at him clapping.
We've also had a few people like help us out with stuff to do on the website this year and stuff, in terms of just being there to play games and stuff. So Leon helped us out. So thank you, Leon, for all the help this year.
Let's do this more seriously. This is...
It's like a weird seal.
Do you know what? Thank you as well to Sean, and who else is it that does the Star Wars RPG with you and started it? I know Sean's
Jordan,
DM'd it.
Who does Squadrons gaming stuff, has joined us. Jay, who is just a bored man, has joined us. Kat will be joining us for next session. Kat is the same Kat who did the artwork for the podcast.
Yeah, so thank you very much, you guys. That's been awesome. Also helping us with a little bit of gaming online, and I just remembered this one today actually. Thank you very much to Andy and Phil as well. We mentioned them earlier, played a bit of Rallyman with us. Thank you, you guys.
Oh, he's not giving it. He's not giving it.
And also Phil for all the DMing as well. He's done quite a few like RPGs with us and stuff as well.
I reluctantly clap those two vagrants.
And then we really want to thank our patrons. First off, Elliot McMullen, thank you very much for all your support this year. We actually gave our patrons the option of leaving us a message. Elliot did not choose to do one, but thank you all the same.
Should I channel him we also... a message that I think Elliot would say?
Yes, please.
Good job. Good job. Thanks, Elliot.
Thank you. Thanks, Elliot.
I could have gone one or two ways, but
I imagine Elliot, as the polite, nice person he probably is, and certainly is, he would have said good job. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
I don't...
And finally, a big thank you to Mike Garley as well. Thank you very much. And he has actually left a message for me to read here, so I may go big on the screen when I click this, but Mike has left the message. Mike doesn't want his message read. That was it. His message. But so was that. And this. And that. I'm done now. So thank you very much once again, Mike, for that. Thank you very much for your support this year. It has been absolutely amazing. So Merry Christmas to everyone. Thank you to everyone that has watched, liked, shared, subscribed on any of our videos. It has been amazing. Thank you very much. And we're going to take a bit of a break now. We're aiming to be back with our 50th podcast on the 15th of January, I believe that will be uploaded. So yeah, we're taking a bit of a break for a while. So have a happy Christmas.
We're going to Tenerife.
A happy New Year. Yeah, that's it. This is all the Patreon money. We're going to Tenerife.
Steve's going in his sleigh. Daryl's going in his spaceship. Is Daryl on his way to the moon again? Is that why his internet quality is so bad?
I don't know, possibly.
I'm already in space. He shot me up there many days
ago. The Russians got sick of you so quickly.
So really, thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and we hope you have a great Christmas and a happy New Year. See you soon, guys. Bye.
Bye.